tan, another simple wee wet fly. This is a great fly for anyone starting out fly tan. Teaches you a lot about proportions and thread control. So the hook I've got in the vise is just a standard size 10 heavyweight wet. This one's a barbless, and coming in with some black thread here. This is 8/0. We're going to run that down the hook. We're going to stop just before the hook turns, or where the barb would be. And this is a golden pheasant tippet. So just hold the feather in your fingers. Come in with your scissors and just snip out 6 to 8 fibers. Pull the feather away, and that'll leave you with these. And that means that the tips are already lined up for you. So you want the tail on this fly to be just about the length of the hook. And again, in the last fly, it works out, for my feather anyway, just at that black bar. So some people like to tie the tail in longer so they can see that black bar, but I like to keep the tail the right length whether you can see the bar or not. So I've just done 2 turns to hold it and 1 underneath to keep it lifted up. And then I'm going to tie my rib in. So for the rib on this fly, you're going to want some silver wire. This is just 0.2 millimeter. And I'm going to tie this on the underside of the hook. Now you'll see why I'm tying it in the underside in a second. We're also trying to tie this in the full length of the body. So 2 turns should hold it. And this is Unifloss. Now this is 1 ply, and this is what I prefer for the body on this fly. Again, I want to tie that in the full length of the body. 2 turns to hold, and then we're going to start running our thread up the body. We're going to want touch and turns. Every now and again you might want to just stop and make sure all the materials are going where you want them to go, because you want the body on this to be nice and smooth. A floss body will show up humps and bumps a lot bit easier than, say, a tinsel body or a dubbed body. So we're going to bring the thread up, just making sure we're taking our time covering all the material. I'm going to stop a few mil back from the eye. So first turn of floss is going to be right on the tail. And we're going to work our floss up the body. You'll notice the floss is a lot shinier than the thread, and that's what we want on this wee fly. It's a great buzzer fly, this. Before people were fishing epoxy buzzers and super glue buzzers, I would say this was one of the top buzzer patterns, and it still is it's a top fly for a lot of anglers still today. So just snip that off, save that for another fly. Now if you notice, when I come around with my rib, I've tied it in on the underside, so my first turn doesn't disrupt that tail in any way. I'm going to go for 5 turns up the body. I'm trying to keep the turns evenly spaced. So just cross that with a thread twice, give it a good pull, and we're going to really lock that down. Just bend and break that away, gives you a cleaner cut. And I'm going to come in with some wax now. We'll just wax our thread. It's going to give us good grip for the next material here. This is a hand hackle. Once you get to know your capes, you'll be able to go in and lift a feather out, the one you want. But if you just come in and fold your feather around, you'll see that one's just about the length of the point, so that'll be perfect. So we'll break that off, and we're going to come in and strip away all this flue. We don't need any of that. And then we're going to turn the feather around and expose the tip. once you get the tip exposed, just offer it up to the hook. 2 turns will hold it. Fold the tip back. 3 or 4 turns. You can snap that away, but for anyone learning to tie flies, it's just as handy to come in and snip it out. So we're going to sweep these hackles back on our finger and come around. And each time we come up, if there's any hackles that want to go forward, we can just sweep them back again. So that's about enough hackle there for me. So I'm going to come up with a thread and then pull this down forward. And that just opens up a gap to get the thread through without trapping a lot of fibers. Then we can sweep everything back and we can build our head. You don't need to go mad with the head on this wee fly. And we're going to whip finish. We can leave that stalk until we're whip finished. So if you notice there, I would do maybe a 3-turn whip finish, and I would come in with the hook of my whip finish and push away from myself, and that just helps tighten it up. And snip that off. Now if you know it's tied in well, you can just snap that off. Again, for anyone starting to tie flies, hold a bit of tension on it, open a small gap up on your scissors, push the stalk, and only the stalk will break then, because it's the part you're holding tension on. So I'm going to come in now and just varnish this head. So I've got a bit of UV resin here. I would prefer to use varnish, but for the sake of the video and to speed it all up, I'm just going to touch it with some UV resin. So we're going to do the top, turn the hook around. Now you don't want a lot on your needle because there's a thing called capillary action, and that's when the hackle would suck all the varnish into itself. So if you put too much on, the hackle will just pull it all in, and then you'll have UV resin all over your hackles. So that's the resin on. Just set that with a torch. Now, if you're just starting, you're going to want to check your eye to make sure that there's no resin in it before you set it. But I can see there that that eye is clear. And that's the black Pennell. Just zoom in a wee bit and see. So that's the wee fly finished there. That's a great, great fly. You know, you can fish that. You know, it's a buzzer pattern, but you know, the fish just, it's a suggestive pattern as well. You know, that looks like a lot of wee things in the water. You know, and because it's dark, the dark silhouette shows up better sometimes in the darker waters. So it's a great wee fly to try, and it's easy enough tied. So thank you for watching, and if there's any questions, just send them through. Thank you.